Hey everybody, if you're watching this, I assume you've watched the showcase video that was posted on Twitter. If not, then the link to that is going to be in the description. Other information used in this video is going to be from the online news post, from the Dragalia Lost website, or from the in-game news updates, or from the wiki itself. So I'm going to be discussing the Circus of Dreams banner, which is going to be running from the 15th to the 31st of January, which is just over 2 weeks. Let's get straight to it. So the banner itself is a pretty standard banner in terms of its mechanics. It's not going to be plus rate, and the units added in this banner are not limited. So they will remain in the Adventurer pool, Dragon pool, Wurmprint pool, and so on. So the first thing to note is Annalee, the new 5-star Light Lance unit. She's got 2 skills as always, the first skill being a Circle AoE with Skill Shift. This Circle AoE is a single hit of low to medium damage, and the 3 forms of the skill are +1 energy to the user, +2 energy to the user, or an extra damage boost to the skill itself on the 3rd form, and then resetting to no skill shift. The second skill is multiple lance thrusts, unknown actual damage potency numbers, but this one's high number of hits and also gives +2 energy to the team. In terms of stats, Annalee has the same maximum stats as Halloween Elizan. In terms of other Light Lance units with poison resist, then the only real alternative is Malka, who's a 3-star, so we're not really competing with much at all. Poison as an affliction is found in Imperial Onslaught and Avenue to Power, which I'd hope that most people aren't having too much trouble with. Assuming that the second skill takes about twice as many skill points to charge as the first, then your skill rotation with Annalee would probably be roughly 1, followed by 2, followed by 1, leaving you at 5 energy and with the skill shift to level 3, as well as the plus 20% strength buff that Annalee gets upon being energized. Whether or not you'd use skill 1 or your weapon skill would probably depend on exactly how much skill 1 deals at skill shift 3, and that buffed skill 1 would compete with the skill 3s found from the light weapons that you can possibly get. So Annalee's 5-star weapon option deals 2 hits of 415%, or 2 hits of 461% at maximum unbind, so that would be a total of 830 or 922%. The 4-star light option for Lancers gives a plus 15% or 20% buff to crit rate for 10 seconds, so probably not all that useful, but maybe if you had a decent set of Wurmprints and Shishimai, you could do something really dumb with that, but obviously not recommended. Overall, Annalee occupies a niche where she's a poison resist lance that can feasibly be used as a lead unit in Dark Imperial Onslaught. If you were lucky enough to pull a Lucretia during the Resounding Rendition event, then you will have a fairly decent energy synergy team if you run those 2 units in a single team. But overall, she's not really a unit that you'd consider using for High Zodiac, for example, because she doesn't have curse resist. So in the end, Annalee isn't really a critical unit for you to pull if you're thinking of doing High Zodiac, but she's a nice bonus to anyone that actually happens to pull her. No complaints here. Right, onwards to the 5-star Light Dragon that's been added to this banner. This 5-star Light Dragon, Liger, shares Juggernaut's animations, and is also the first 5-star dragon to have a split bonus for light units, with a 30% bonus to both strength and health at maximum unbind, or 20% bonus otherwise. The 20% numbers assume that Liger will share the same sort of bonus as Poseidon. Overall, if you're planning on bringing a ranged unit to High Zodiac when that's released, Liger will most likely be your dragon of choice, considering that it gives a split bonus, and you probably wouldn't want to bring a plus HP only dragon such as Jean to High Zodiac as a damage dealer. In terms of the skill, it's again similar to Juggernaut. It's a forward charge that deals 4 low damage hits, but also inflicts paralysis. Whether that's useful or not, I'll leave that for you to decide. And in terms of overall stats, it's the same as Poseidon, except for 1 extra hit point. So yeah, blatant power creep, come on. Right, so onwards to the new 4-star Light Dagger unit, Fritz, or Flitz as I've seen it on the wiki. As of creating this video, there's been no official English video or details released on this unit, so I'm just going off the Japanese and the video. Fritz's first skill is a Dagger flurry of sorts that deals 4 hit, damage percentage is unknown, and his second skill is a 4-strike buff, which causes his 4 strikes to inflict stun, much like Sazanka and Sleep. Obviously it's going to be slightly less useful than Sazanka's Sleep in terms of sort of area of effect, but this also synergizes with units such as Rawn, who deals extra damage to stunned targets. In terms of Fritz's weapon choices, at 5 stars we've got a 35 or 40% strength buff for 5 seconds, which doesn't seem terribly useful, or a 4-star weapon choice gives you 4 hits of 167 or 186% damage, totaling to 668 or 744%. Probably in order to figure out whether or not it does do more damage you'd have to run some simulations, and that's not really my thing at the moment. Anyway, onwards to the 3-star fire sword added in this banner, Marty. He's got 2 skills, first one being a standard spin, dealing an unknown number of hits due to the video not having that many units in it, and his second skill is a shield. I assume that shields you for 15% of your health. He seems fairly standard. I'd assume he has sleep res because obviously everyone starts with Buden, who has stun resist. If you wanted to make Marty into a big boy, then you've got your 5-star weapon which deals 5 hits of 149 or 165%, totaling 745 or 825% at maximum unbind, or your 4-star weapon which gives you 2 hits of 338 or 375%, totaling to 676 or 750%. You might see these numbers and notice, oh hey, 4-star weapon actually deals more damage when it's maximum unbind compared to 0-1 bind 5-star weapon. But do note that your 5-star weapon, even at 0-1 binds at max level, has 116 extra strength, so probably better. It's a fairly easy comparison to make for fire swords, considering that both weapons actually do damage as their skill, but that's assuming you're going to build this 3-star fire sword into 5-star or whatever. I'd advise against that. Overall, I'd say Marty could be a good filler unit, or maybe even a lead in Wind Imperial Onslaught, but otherwise, not really an endgame unit or someone you should really be aiming for. Right, onwards to the Wurmprints. This time around we've actually got a really good selection of Wurmprints for this banner, but this would be the first time I think people would actually consider pulling on a banner just for the Wurmprints. So the first one up we've got is a 5-star print called Dragon Circus on the Japanese video, or Dragon and Tamer from the English news post. Specifically for lances, Dragon and Tamer gives you plus 35% skill damage at maximum unbind. This is a new kind of stat of this sort, and this is the highest skill damage bonus we've actually seen on a Wurmprint. At 0-1 bind, I'd guess maybe 25 or 30% skill damage bonus, but that's sort of difficult to extrapolate considering we haven't seen this sort of bonus on a Wurmprint before. And then you've got some sugar on top with the 8% dark resist at maximum unbind. The other Wyrmprint that we see with a similar sort of dark resist is of Tricks and Treats, which was a print that was released during the Halloween event. And for the final bonus on this Wyrmprint, translated to English, it is a plus 150% Renown gain. Renown is going to be one of the, I assume, resources that you get during the facility event. Overall, this print would stack with Halloween Alazan's passive 35% skill damage, but generally this is a good print for Lance users overall. You could consider using this on any sort of Lance unit, not just the light ones, considering that, the 35% skill damage is pretty hefty, and Dark Resist, well, it's not really a huge thing that people look at anyway, it's just skill damage. For our second 5-star print of this banner, we've got Best Performance in Japanese, or Stellar Show in English. Stellar Show gives plus 40% to 4-strike, as seen in the Night Stalker print, and plus 13% critical damage, which we also see in Levin's Champion. Overall, this is a good print and is a straight buff to your overall DPS, considering that for optimal DPS you want to be weaving 4 strikes into your standard rotation anyway. I'm getting this from simulations where people have actually run frame data and percentages through simulations. But in the end, simulation discussion is sort of a big can of worms, and I can't really say that it's a topic I want to discuss in a video like this. Okay, and for the 4-star print that we see in this banner, Google Translate told me it was Steady Activity. I'm hoping we find a better English translation for this at some point. This one's basically a clone of the print Braving the Unknown, except that it also has plus 75% Tent Canvas, which is going to be the resource that we get in the facility event. Overall, this is a filler print, and you probably just use it on your secondary units during challenge battles and whatnot during the event. And last, and probably least, we've got the 3-star print. Google Translate told me that this was Shining Place, which about lines up with what I know from Japanese. This print is basically a clone of Tea Time and the Crown of Your Wurmprints, but with the added bonus of plus 75% of the event resource. So also something that you want to be sticking on to your secondary units. As to whether or not you should pull on this banner, well, I'm not your boss, do what you want. Units aren't limited, but if you do really want Annalee or Fritz, or maybe even Marty for some reason, then yeah, sure, go ahead, pull. This time you won't actually feel bad if you get pity broken by a Wurmprint, but I don't know, maybe you will. Depends what you're after. Personally, I'm not going to pull, but they're not limited units, so you're not really losing out too much if you're not pulling now anyway. That's it from me. Thank you for sticking out this whole video with me, and good luck in your upcoming pulls.